Today I thought I would try something different. Since I have trouble reading blog posts and I like to listen to them instead, I thought I would go ahead and do a video portion of this blog so that instead of reading the whole thing, you can listen to it instead. But since I am awkward in front of a camera, I have written everything out first, so I will just read it. For the past week, I have been having a difficult time writing. As some of you know, I write 3 books at a time. I do this in hopes of being able to work on at least one book if I get stuck. Working on more than one book doesn't always work, however. Over the past couple of weeks, I have been trying to strategize how I'm going to get the main characters and the hero least likely to apprehend outlaws who are terrorizing Arizona. I realize that I'm stuck on this point because I don't plot. But I can't plot like some authors can, because every time I have sat down and I've plotted out in advance, the story ends up going off the rails and in a completely different direction than what I expected. And I realize some authors think this is nuts, because I always say that characters have a mind of their own and they're just going to do whatever they want, and all I can do as the author is just write down whatever they want to do. But that really is how my brain works. If it's not there on the screen, then I just can't write it. So authors, okay, so I got a little off track, did a little of my own ad-libbing. So let me get back on course here. So when I write, the story plays out like a movie in my head. And as long as I write what is happening on the screen, everything flows smoothly. And I never know how the scene is going to play out until I'm writing it. I can just guess. Sometimes I have an idea of what's going to happen, but I'm telling you, a lot of times, as I'm sitting there and I start writing the scene, it goes off in a tangent I never see coming. And that's why I always kind of chuckle whenever someone says something in my book is predictable, because I'm like, well, it wasn't predictable to me because I didn't see that character doing that, or this happening and going in this direction. But I guess if they see it coming before I do, then maybe they know my characters better than I know them. All I know going in is that my characters are going to end up together and they're going to be in love and there's going to be the happily ever after ending. Okay, so I got off course again. I guess I can kind of start reading to get this going, and then let's try to get back to where in the world. Okay, so now we're talking about the hero least likely, the book that is currently has me in a jam. And I'm telling you, the cover was a pain in the butt to get it right. I've done so many multiple revisions, and finally I got the right cover. And even in the beginning, I had to rewrite a portion of the beginning of the book because the main character, the hero, I couldn't even figure out who he was early on. So, I should know. By the time we get to the end of the book, I'm probably, 2, maybe 3 chapters out, probably 2 at this point, and it's just, the characters are giving me nothing. I have to do one of those Western action scenes, like you see in the Western movies. Well, okay, that's all well and good, except I'm not really a big fan of action scenes. For me, the fun is writing the romance and the emotion and stuff like that. So I have to have this map in my head. Okay, well, here's the layout of the town, and I need one character tied up. I need another character helping, but he's going to run into a problem, so he's not going to be able to actually get the outlaws. And the main character, the hero, has to be the one to get the outlaws because that's the whole point of his character development. And that's his main goal, is to get these outlaws and also to impress the lady that he loves. So that needs to happen. I just haven't really figured out how it's going to happen. And already I'm at a point in a chapter where I wrote a scene yesterday and I'm like, well, this scene is not going to belong here. So I'm going to have to move the scene back and I'm going to have to put something in its place. And I'm not really sure yet what that's going to be. So anyway, this has been really frustrating. And let me just try to get back on track here. I think while I'm stuck here in this horrible place of limbo, I've also realized the other 2 books I'm working on are also stuck too. I can't even get past it. Because I know, and ironically, I know where I'm going. In the Earl's Blue Stocking Bride, I know where I'm going with this one. Because there's that element, I'm about to do the big reveal where they figure out, the hero and heroine figure out who they really are. She's the playwright and he's the actor. But before I get to that, I have to do 2 more scenes. about where I kind of like build it up a little bit more, because I got to get the balance between the romantic elements and then that transition to the big reveal where everything's just going to blow up in their faces. And while I think that's going to be a lot of fun, I'm not there yet. And also with the preacher's wife, I finally figured out the hero. I finally figured out his motivation. But now I have to layer up the romance between him and the heroine, so that when their world gets disrupted, I need them in love for that to happen, because if they're not in love, then there's nothing to lose. And I can't say what is going to happen because that will spoil the book. But anyway, for some reason, in this situation, because I'm stuck on the hero least likely, I cannot proceed with the other 2 books. And then I have this Marriage by Holiday series that I need to get out. And I need to have these released at least starting in September, October maybe, for the Halloween story. And I'm going to have a Christmas story, and I'm going to have a Valentine's story. So I need to get started on those because we're already heading into March. And, you know, I have to write the first draft, and then I have to like do the first edits, and then I have to send them out so that they can get like read and cleaned up and stuff. And then, you know, so that it's ready for those dates. But in order to do that, you have to start further back enough. And for some reason, my stories these days, they're turning out longer than I've anticipated. So it takes more time to write them. So I need to plan out more time for them to finally get done. So I guess like finally I'm going back to my writing here, because I really just went off the cuff. But you know, this method might work for me just to kind of get started. Okay, so now I'm gonna just transition into like the myth. Okay, the myth that storytelling is just so easy. And you know, sometimes it is. And I do hear those things in the distance. We're near a hospital, but I can't stop the video because then I'll have to do the whole thing over again. So anyway. Okay, sometimes, yes, the words flow out. But at other times, writing a story is like pulling teeth. It's like getting your kids out the door, into school, ready, dressed and everything. And you just want to like scream because it's not going smoothly. Okay, so what I've learned, because I have been through burnout, and man, that burnout, like for a total, probably lasted about 3 years from start to finish. But I've learned not to force it. If the story just isn't coming, don't force it. Plus, if you force the story and you're trying to wrap it up too soon, the story's not going to be as good as it should be. So I have to make myself just take a step back. And I'm not really sure. I'm thinking right now, maybe I'm going to give myself 2 weeks. Just let myself decompress, maybe do some reading, do other stuff instead. Maybe just go on social media to Facebook or whatever. But I guess my advice, if there's any, I don't know, writers actually listening to this, because this is now 8 minutes long. But one thing I promised myself is that I would never do the things again that led to my burnout in the first place. And I guess just deconstructing like everything that led to burnout. Okay, well, one thing is that you're forcing yourself to finish the story. It's not ready to be finished. And I think doing things you hate over a long period of time will definitely do it. Rapid releasing anything. Rapid releasing blog posts, rapid releasing social media posts, rapid releasing your books, stories, short stories, whatever it is, if you're just always focused on getting content out there all the time, I don't think it's very good. I think the brain is wired to rest. We need rest, and when we rest, we are more creative. Because if you're going to survive this writing thing in the long run, you have to just not only rest, but you have to do stuff you love. And you have to spend time doing stuff you love. That's why I'm tired of chasing the latest market trends. I'm tired of trying to get out there and sell books. All I want to do is write them. And I know some people are like, well, you're never going to make 6 figures that way. Okay, well, maybe not. My goal is no longer to make 6 figures. And in fact, I didn't even start this to make 6 figures. My goal, though, is to be financially independent enough where I can do the stuff I love and write the books I love without having to worry about how many people are going to buy the book. And that's why I'm excited to be investing. Because when I invest, for me, the big thing is S&P 500. But, you invest in whatever you're going to invest in. If you're going to invest, make sure you do your research. But for me, it's great to have something you're putting money in, whatever money you get, you're putting it there, and it just grows for you. And all you have to do is add some money to it once in a while, always be buying, and then you just let it grow. You know, when you're always trying to get books out there, you're always trying to market stuff, you're not always like building up money. Sometimes you're losing money. Sales are not going to always go up. Sometimes they go down. But at least when you're investing, I mean, over the long range, yes, there are going to be periods where you're going to drop because we do have recessions. But if you look historically, overall, at how the market's done, it's gone up. Wow, that was a side tangent that like I originally had in the blog post, but I ripped it out. But hey, you know, I guess my brain is still on this stuff. Okay, so anyway, what I really want to get back to as a writer is writing for love. Because there is magic. There is magic when you not only write stuff you love, but when people happen to find your books and they fall in love along with the story with you, when they join with you on that journey. Because I recently came across like this series, and I really like the series. I like the books, I like the movies. I think the books are better because you understand the movies better. But then someone came along and did fan fiction on this. And I thought, well, I wasn't sure I was going to like this, but I fell in love with the fan fiction. And in fact, a part of me loves that even more than the actual stories, like the original stories. And that's when I kind of thought, you know, that's what it should be. That's what writing should be. And that's what reading should be. And if you can bring someone in with you to that kind of magical place, and it doesn't have to be a large number of people, but just like, you know, whoever you can bring with you, they can join you on that journey. That is why writing is so much fun. And that's why it's not so frustrating when this other stuff happens, because you can remind yourself the important thing at the end of the day is the story. And since we are hitting at 12 minutes, I'm going to stop this here.